So headline number one, Reddit launches in-house creative agency Karma. So with Karma, yes, it will be very similar to what Facebook Ads Manager offers. However, this quote is from Reddit directly, in which it will be an offering that includes social listening and trends reports, step-by-step community management, creative workshops, bespoke 360-degree campaign development, and more. Karma is a full-service creative strategy agency delivering campaigns that resonate with and add value to Reddit users while driving meaningful results. So with all that being said, I think something that we can dive right into is, David, your thoughts on how this will impact digital advertising and kind of the social landscape right now.
So it's interesting. So help me understand a little bit. So is this an agency for Reddit advertisers in particular, or is this an agency that Reddit is going to go outside and use on multiple different channels?
So it sounds like it might be a programmatic offering of sorts,
Gotcha.
but it will be in-house. So if advertisers want to strategize or leverage Reddit ad products, they would go directly to Karma to do this.
Sure.
Again, it's very similar to kind of the account manager direct service one would receive with Facebook advertising.
It's interesting. I mean, we'll put it this way. I think those who love Reddit are obsessed with it. If you could talk about the people who are fanatics about any one social channel, I think you could argue pound for pound, people love Reddit more than they love any other channel if they love it. So,
I do, yes.
so yeah, exactly. Like it's just a whole subworld of people who are in there talking about their subreddits like they're just places that they actually live. And yeah, and I think it's always super amusing. But I think you're seeing more of this is the in-housing of agencies, and it's ironic supposedly because of the fact that we ourselves are an agency. So we in certain times have dealt with this where clients are starting to take further things in-house, but it's also the channels themselves, like Facebook providing more hands-on service to advertisers. Is they know that there's a need for these services. They know that people are looking for additional support and expertise. Who better than somebody who's backed by a very successful, digital / social channel / blog site, whatever you want to call Reddit, and then them to sort of say, we know what's cool, we know what sticks, and we know what gets people to pay attention. So obviously I think it could bode really well for clients, particularly those who have an interest in getting onto Reddit and making a name for themselves. And what do we know about Reddit, right? We talked about the different niches that are within the category on that site, but people spend a lot of time on there. Like, Facebook, you might get someone to scroll thumbs for, 6 minutes and then they're out. Reddit, they'll camp out for a night and never go to bed, just getting lost in the weeds. So, I would be interested in learning more. The move doesn't surprise me. There's a lot of smart people at Reddit, and their ability to proliferate what they've used on that channel for any number of other purposes is perhaps an obvious one. They have credibility, and it wouldn't surprise me if they become a strong player.
For sure. And I think that Facebook groups a couple years ago, the reason why they kind of brought that out of the woodwork was to compete with Reddit, essentially, right? Yeah. So I definitely think it will be a difference in the landscape to that respect. So jumping into headline 2, the rollout of shoppable inventory. So this one is super interesting. Earlier in May, Amazon announced beta testing of a new feature that would allow users to make a purchase directly from their IMDb TV using their Alexa or Fire TV remote while watching an ad. So something that Julia and I actually discussed with Amazon kind of taking over literally everything. When you pause a TV show right now, you can actually see all of the actors that are in a particular scene. And basically with the buyout of IMDb from Amazon within the last few years or so, they're able to basically like pull in and aggregate all of that data on cast members, the director, et cetera, who the actors are, and they display it right on your Fire TV. So super cool feature. So taking that idea in mind, basically this is the same premise. It's just applying like an Instagram shoppable post to what you're watching on your Fire TV, which is super cool. So NBC, Universal, and Hulu are also kind of looking into this, it seems like, and they're trying to strategize ways in which they can actually compete with it. So David, tell us your thoughts on this.
Wow. This doesn't surprise me. I mean, the ability for things to be shoppable has been, and it's funny, right? We just talked about Facebook adopting something from Reddit.
Yeah.
And now we're going to be talking about Amazon adopting something from Instagram and other channels too. But, obviously like the shoppable posts became a really big deal because Instagram was this place where everyone was going to get inspired once upon a time by everything in a Hefe filter. But the shoppable Instagram posts obviously was a great way to make the things that you already like easier to buy. It's the same thing that is happening here. and it's kind of tying the influencer world to the retail world in a very literal way. So rather than like having to go to a social channel, you're watching the main place where you're seeing the message, probably, namely your television device, because it's not true TV, and immediately saying like, wow, Daenerys is wearing something really cool from the fall catalog in Game of Thrones. I'd love to put that on. And terrible example, but you have the opportunity to do that. So I think this immersive commerce or immersive shopping, whatever buzzword, crappy word that people are going to come up with to sort of describe this, is really as simple as what Amazon's trying to do here. It is make it as easy as possible for people to access the items that they want, and remove any friction between those things. Whereas previously on Amazon, you would have had to have paused the frame, gone into Google or gone into Amazon, typed in the thing, tried to describe it, see where it shows up. Oh, what was Daenerys wearing on this week's episode? Like, that appears to be the example that I've landed on, and trying to go find that product for yourself. So I think this is great for everybody. Advertisers are going to love this because it's instant gratification, and for the same reason that shoppers will. They won't interact with it if they don't want to buy, an item that's in it. So this is, I wouldn't necessarily call it's, I guess it's like a hybrid of discovery advertising and search-based advertising, which is you discovered it because it showed up on your screen, and you don't even really have to search for it because it was given to you if you're interested. So I think this is a great mix, and I suspect it'll be really valuable. And it's also going to change partnership deals in terms of, product placements and things like that.
For sure. Yeah.
Right. So there's going to be, huge affiliate programs going on. Brands are going to want to spend a lot more money now trying to get their products in, because once upon a time it was like, hey, you get awareness and, your Walmart bag shows up in screen. Well, now they can buy whatever it is, literally on the screen in real time. And once again, Amazon's at the front of the line, but this is going to happen with NBC and the Peacock network and everything else as well. And so I think it's a good thing.
Definitely. Our last headline to wrap up this segment will be Twitter Blue subscription service. So another interesting spin here. Twitter is working on a $3 a month subscription service called Twitter Blue. Why? The features would include undoing tweets, which is essentially the same as undoing an email, a charge to use TweetDeck, which is obviously their scheduler for those of us in this field, and the ability to super follow users for a small fee in exchange for exclusive content. So correct me if I'm wrong, Julia, but does that mean that these users would be paying a fee in exchange for getting their ads out there?
Well, I think it would be something similar to how Patreon works, where you can pay to get exclusive content. So it would be exclusive tweets or exclusive things that other users are tweeting.
Right. That makes sense. Perfect. Okay.
You were kinder. I was actually going to say OnlyFans, but Patreon is the more savory version of that. But yeah, I think, kudos to Twitter, because someone had to be first on this. The fact that, and what I really like about it is not necessarily the Patreon OnlyFans hybrid, although I suppose there's value to it for a lot of different kinds of users, but it's Twitter is jumping ahead and finding a way to monetize their users directly instead of selling their data to get the money. Everybody knows that this third-party data stuff is fading and falling away, and Twitter sort of jumping in line and saying, let's test it out. Let's, like, if we can get $3 a month out of somebody, $36 a year, instead of having to sell their data directly, could we have a real profitable, line here where users get an ad-free, I don't know if this will be an ad-free experience, but in theory, they could make it an ad-free experience as an option. I suppose you could pay a premium for that, and I suspect some people might, but I expect, it's funny, the theme here of all of the headlines, right, is we know other people are going to follow this trend, or this trend is a copy of somebody else. So Twitter's is partly copied from Patreon and OnlyFans, but I think they're really the first ones jumping in line, getting people to pay for a unique experience in the channel, and potentially at the expense of not having their data sold. So I don't know how well it'll work. Twitter is a much more transient, channel, and in terms of, passive behavior and things like that. So you've got this hybrid model of those two things. And I suspect other channels are going to follow suit. It's been floated for a really long time, even when, your mom was posting on Facebook saying, oh, they're going to make you pay $10 a month for Facebook starting January 1, or they're going to steal all your pictures. Eventually something like that was probably going to come true. And now this is an opportunity to see if it can be profitable and if the users get a better experience. If they don't, then it's not worth it. But I am interested to see how this works out.
Definitely quite the color commentary. But just to add to your point, the subscription would come with the ability to view tweets ad-free, which is interesting.
Oh, it would.
So,
okay. Then there you go.
Yeah, there you go.